Hey, so what's going on, people? Give me a second to get this here stream thing all together, which is really just changing the chat option. If you're ever watching YouTube live things, whatever, sometimes it has like live chat or some other option. There we go. Let's mute that. So, anyways, yeah. So if you're watching stuff and you have like the live chat option versus like the top chat or whatever, the top chat doesn't always show you every message. The live chat does. So it's one of those things. Either way, so here's the situation, right? Got some shoes here in this box to talk about real quick. Now, quick backstory on those, hopefully quick, anyways. I was telling myself I was like done buying stuff for a while because I've been buying some other things, like I've been buying a lot of statue and action figure type things, which don't come cheap. And so, and then there's Yo Hope All as well. Hello to you too, L Jones. So I was trying to put some stuff on the back burner, right? Figure like keep some money for some other future purchases. And then one day I wake up to this email from StockX saying your order is confirmed, right? So I'm thinking like, oh, I kind of forgot about that. Because I have bids out there that are at retail price or whatever, thinking maybe someday somebody will part with these things for the price that I'm willing to pay, right? To spoil things, this is a pair of Yeezy 350s, right? And I always have said, as much as I like them, I wouldn't go over retail, right? And so I put in a bid for retail and then somebody accepted it. And of course, like part of me was thinking like there's a solid chance these could be fake, right? Which is possible, right? Anytime you buy something from the non-standard methods, like non-retailers or whatever, who knows what you're getting. So I'm going to open this box. I'm going to do some not thorough, like in-depth checking or whatever. I'm going to do enough for me to be okay and comfortable with what I have, which is what I suggest to anybody, and see how that goes. I did this whole thing before for the what was that called? The marsh or the flax? I don't know. Some past 350 or whatever. The whole thing wasn't all documented or whatever, but I did it. It was extremely time consuming, which is why I probably won't do the full deal today. But I'll pull out some boxes, go over some things, talk to whoever shows up in the little comment section, and see how this whole thing plays out, right? So, are these real? Are they fake? We'll find out, possibly. But real quick, just to give you a timeline as far as how long it took this whole thing to happen, right? In case anybody out there is looking at StockX as a way to buy something, on the 5th is when I got the order confirmation, right? They shipped the shoes to StockX on the 6th. They arrived on the 8th. That's actually pretty good. They were all ordered and shipped, or order verified and shipped out on the 10th. So the order was probably verified the previous day and then shipped out the next day. And then they were delivered today, which is the 12th at 3:16. What do you know? That's always a good number. So do the math if you want to, but that's how long it took me to get these and all that stuff, which I'm okay with. So that being that, I'm gonna cut on into this thing here and see what's going on. Hopefully something good. I mean, colorway wise, we'll get to that, but I say good as in a solid experience, right? Not something that I'm going to be all bothered about. Because if you saw the video I did about some Air Max 97 Winters, you know why I don't really deal with goats, right? I mean, it was only one time that I dealt with them, and it didn't go so well, and now I'm kind of like not wanting to deal with them. I should probably give them another chance. That's kind of rude in a way, but either way. So that's what's going on the side of the box, right? So it says sulfur, sulfur, and sulfur because this is the sulfur colorway. So that makes sense, kind of like the Zyons or the Linens, right? There are a couple of them that all said that same sort of layout as far as color wise, right? Now, I will say, right, I almost got these when they came out, which I looked up recently was May of 2020, so it's kind of a while ago. But it was one of those times back when Yeezys were still like not the easiest thing to pick up or whatever. Kind of had to put some effort in. And so I was doing that. I was on Yeezy supply and I got through, put the order in, and it like kept not happening. Had I been paying more attention to like my emails and stuff, right? Probably had the phone alerts going off, but my bank, for whatever reason, they thought Yeezy Supply was some kind of fraud thing. So they were like, click here to allow this purchase to happen. I didn't see that email till like hour later or something. Otherwise, I would have had these 3 years ago. But it is what it is. And now we have them. Now we're going to talk about them just a wee bit. So first off, I'll do like the normal review type things for anybody who's caring to see that. This right here, like I was saying, why is that video quality so terrible all of a sudden? Does it look like that for everybody else, or is that just me? Oh, that might be just me because the setting on here is kind of terrible. All right, cool. So this right here is the Yeezy, Adidas Yeezy Boost 350 V2 in the sulfur colorway, right? So pretty standard look, right? You remember seeing a lot of these, I'm sure. The whole green thing, like all one color throughout. They were doing this. They were big on this for a while. Got the little see-through sort of window type thing happening on the side. If you look on the inside, there's the normal stitching patterns that you generally would see on a pair of these or whatever. Nothing too crazy about it. Nothing that you haven't really seen, and it's nothing that takes too long to really describe because it's super simple. Down there on the bottom and whatnot, what you're looking at down there, kind of got like a gum bottom sort of outsole, got this yellow piece in the back, which is very similar to the Cinders. If you remember that, is one of those shoes that was like black, but when you looked at it, it was like not at all black. Yeah, that. I did a whole Cinder versus Black Static 350s. It was like, which shoe of these non-black Yeezys is actually the blackest, right? Neither one, honestly. But I don't even remember how that video went, but it's out there if you care to watch it. Either way, so there's that. And then looking down on the inside, these both have like the older style, which just says Adidas Yeezy on there. Some of the newer ones, I think one shoe says Yeezy and the other has a globe or something. And one thing that I often talk about is the laces on the 350s. They're kind of thicker. I do like those a fair amount. I'm not sure what it is about those, but it's just a thing that I'm into. Now, overall, color-wise, right, I like these. I do. They're probably not really for everybody, and I kind of get that because it's like I've said about a lot of things, like the all whites or the all blacks, the all browns, whatever. They're often kind of plain, right? But I just happen to like this shade, and it's broken up just a little bit with that whole brown down there and a little bit of the yellow, I suppose, too. So there is that. But real quick, I do have another sulfur pair of Yeezys to pull out just to see how similar or different the color may be. And right off the top, it's looking like it's more different than similar. This right here is going to be the, what do you call this thing? The foam runner in sulfur, right? So much like when I did the Flax 350 and the Flax Yeezy slide video, those are very different colors. These, they're at least closer, right? Still a ways apart, though, in my personal opinion. So I'm not sure which one is more sulfurish. I would lean towards this one, I think, but I don't know. I honestly don't know what color sulfur really is. But when I think of the color or the word or whatever, I personally think back to Hobgoblin, or excuse me, Demo Goblin it was, from like the Maximum Carnage storyline that I was reading when I was younger, and he was always talking about like something about like the stench of sulfur around him or whatever it was. So just something that I have in mind whenever I think about that, and also just to go with another thing that I thought would probably be closer just by what I remembered of it. This right here, set that down there. This is, what do you call this? This is the Yeezy 450 in resin. Resin, that's what color this is. So pulling this here thing back out. Now these, to me at least, and I don't know how it's showing up in the camera, but these are almost like dead on the same, right? At least as far as like the prime knit piece goes, right? Speaking of which, I'll say something about sizing while I'm thinking about it. First off, though, I don't always like talking about sizing because everybody's foot is different. Everybody's preferences are different, right? I get that. Personally, though, as I always say, I go true to size on the 350s because that's what works for me. I was just walking around in a pair today, felt just fine doing it. A lot of people like to go up a half a size. I get it. They're a snug fit, but the prime knit thing, at least in my opinion, it stretches out just enough to give you some extra wiggle room in there if they do feel a little snug out of the box. I will say, though, some of them, like the MX Oats, the MX Rocks, right, that whole series, because of the whole layered texture, those, if there's ever one to go up a half on, it's those, because like that extra layer makes for some extra snugness, right? But then you have other ones on the opposite end of that spectrum, like the mono mist, mono ice, right? Because they're this weird plasticky trash material that they're made of. Those feel super loose, right? So those, true to size, is fine for most people. You might even be able to go half down, but I'd say true to size for sure. Either way, that's what I do with the Yeezys. I go true to size, and it's been working out on all 40 something pair that I have. I don't know what the count is now. I used to, but that was like several months ago, and things have changed. Either way, so back to what we were talking about. These right here, to me, look pretty similar, right? So there is that piece of it, right? Sometimes you see colors of things that are the same and then look very different. I have a pair of carbon 350s. I have a pair of carbon night joggers. They don't look too similar personally. Now, as far as other comparisons that I was going to do, right? Where is it? So when I bought my, whatever the last pair it was that I got from StockX, one of the things I thought I should do, because it just made sense, was, you look at the box and stuff, right? Figure like the boxes should all be very much similar. I mean, I don't normally go into like pulling apart all the paper like some people, but I've dealt with enough of these. Like, you notice when some feel a little bit different or whatever. And have I worn these? Jesus, how have I not? Yeah, so you notice when some feel a little bit different. It's one of those things, but these right off the top, I can say like feel pretty standard. And the reason I pulled out the linen, obviously the linen doesn't look anything like the sulfur. But the thing is, as far as creation, well, on sale date, it was the closest thing I had. The linens were released in April. The sulfurs were released in May. So it's pretty close, right? My next closest, someone said in the comments that like that they go by the sound of that box that you just heard, like to know if there's a real, or at least they consider it. I mean, that's accurate, I suppose, right? But you could also buy any shoe retail, like, and then just swap out the actual shoe with a fake one and then still have a real box. So I would lean more towards looking at the shoe personally, but do whatever makes sense to you. It's your money to do whatever, right? So pull out this one, like I was just kind of saying, and it feels mostly the same as well. All the stuff on the inside is probably going to be similar. This is the Zyon. Some of you might remember the Zyon. It was actually one of the nicer releases, in my opinion. It looked a little weird at first. I try not to have to talk over the sound too much. But all in all the stuff's all looking very much the same, which is good, right? Because that's what you want. As far as any marks on the box that might be distinguishing, there aren't any. On the sides here, you're always going to notice things being just a little bit different because I've looked at a lot of sides of boxes, right? And if you've ever watched my videos, you've seen a lot of sides of boxes. And they always have, well, they won't always have, but they often have something that's not quite the same. Even this one's a lot more standard than compared to like what I'm used to or whatever. This here, the desert sage, or the linen. But you might have some stickers on the side, you might not. If you do, don't get worked up over it. Honestly, I've bought multiple pairs of some 350s and some had extra stickers, some didn't. So it might really just come down to where they came from. But either way, so since let's see, what do we want to use here? We'll do this one because this seems like it will make more sense. So as far as, yeah, because like I said, these both came out a couple weeks apart. This was April, this was May. So it seems like a solid comparison. They've got a lot of the same stuff going on, right? So in my personal opinion, right, and again, I'm not like some true legit checking shoe guy, right? I am not. So if you're thinking, does this guy know what he's talking about? I'll tell you right now, no, I don't. I just know that all my other pair all came from Adidas or Foot Locker or Well Gosh or Champs, Foot Patrol, Foot District, a few, right? And sneakers and stuff, all the normal places, right? So I figure I'll just pull out some of these and I'll look at them and make sure everything looks like it's supposed to look, right? So just looking at the bottom and all that stuff, I mean, to me, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it right now, just giving you something to think about. All that stuff down there is very, very similar to me, right? So that's cool, right? That's what you want to see. Nothing that really stands out and makes you think, I don't know about this, right? This one, looking at the side, the one thing that you can't really tell on this one, usually you can kind of see in there and like it gives you an idea of what the boost looks like from the inside or whatever. You don't have that on these just because of the way this is, but in some other cases that may be a telling sign as to how good off you may be with what you just bought. But then otherwise, I'm just looking at like the stitching itself and how that looks. And in a second, I'll pull the paper out and go, feeling it, make sure everything seems the same. This one will be a little bit different, so I'll probably have to switch over to the Zyon. The Zyon came out June or July. I want to say July, right? I want to say it was the next release after this that I got, which is I do get a lot of the 350s, but not all of them. So it's pretty decent enough in my opinion. But the thing is, this one it's going to feel different because it's a 3M strip on here, whereas this is just your standard plastic. The Goon Squad, yo, what's up? Can you show me the Jordan 1 bloodlines, please? No, I cannot. I have a video. You can see it there. But right now I'm doing this, so I appreciate the question, but I'm going to have to pass, unfortunately. But it never hurts to ask, people, right? The worst that could happen is I say no, which is what just happened. But maybe next time you'll ask a different question that I can actually do something with. But for now, though, we're going to get back to this real quick and have a nice day, though, if you're leaving now because I'm not showing you what you want. Like, I get it, right? I totally get it. But either way, so this one, given that it's like a 3M strip and this is like your standard plastic, we will switch over just a little bit just to kind of look at that piece of it. But at least as far as like the actual feel of the materials and such, I'll set this one in here because I only need one of these things. And pull this out here. And remind me, I also got to talk about the whole thing with the sticker tag thing that comes on the shoes, right? So sometimes you will notice that certain 350s do feel thinner or thicker, right? So say like if I bought a pair of the what was it? I think it was the bone 350s. Those felt super thin, like crazy thin, right to the touch. Whereas other things not so much, right? And so just given that these have the same build all in all, right? I feel like they should feel the same pretty much in all the same places. Again, minus that, but we'll come back to that in a second. And so far, everything's matching up like what I would expect it to be. So that's pretty cool, right? Laces, same thing, right? Down on the inside, everything's looking pretty much like I always see it. I mean, again, I'm not I'm not an expert on this, people. I want to stress that. I'm just one of those guys who happens to have enough other things to compare to, which isn't a luxury everybody has. I get that. But it's something to talk about, right? What's your favorite colorway of them? Of Are you asking of the ones that I've shown here today or my favorite like of all the 350s? Clarify that just a little bit, please, and then I'll get back to you whenever you get back to me. So the other thing being the size tags down in here. I don't know if that's going to show up. Let me move this screen over just a wee bit there. So you always have these little size tags in there. I usually try to get pictures in the videos because this is a thing where like if your size tag thing doesn't look quite right, that's not a good sign, people. Or if it's not there, that's also not a good sign. But this one is saying that these were made in February of 2020, which makes sense. This one, let's see, also February of 2020. So if you, let me see, where is that showing up? Kind of in there. I don't know, it's not really focusing a whole lot, but either way, just take my word for it. These are both saying February of 2020, which is, like I was saying before, kind of the reason I pulled these out so I could do the comparison or whatever. I'll do a color comparison after this because I have some other shoes over here that are greenish, and we're going to see what other ones match up with the color wise because I am curious. But now let's move back over here to these Zyon, right? Talk about this for a second because it's a little bit darker, so it's not going to be as easy to see through or whatever. But the plastic piece should all feel the same, and it does. It's a little softer towards the front piece, actually, but it looks like the reason for that, if anybody's ever had a pair of the Ultra Boost Uncaged, that same material that keeps that they use for the cage on the inside of the shoe, because there's no cage on the outside, obviously. That's basically the same thing as what you have down in here, right? This like plastic piece, which on here seems to be a little thinner in a way than this one. But I mean, I've also worn these Zyons a good number of times, right? I don't know if it shows. They're from a distance, it doesn't. But I mean, if you look close, right? Like, I mean, you can. I don't know. I have a lot of shoes, people. Like going through the rotation, keeping things evenly worn means that things tend to look barely worn. Just go with it. Let me catch up on these comments real quick because people are saying stuff. Of all, the Yeezy 350, that's my personal favorite, semi-frozen yellow, hands down, easy. If you want to see some of my other favorites, I did do a top 10 2 months ago, and I broke it up. The first 5 are like my true top 5, and then the other 5 are just 5 more that I really like more than the rest. They aren't in any particular order at all, but except for the semi-frozen yellow. That one was number 1 because that's number 1, period. How do you keep your white midsoles clean? I do not clean my shoes. I don't bother cleaning anything unless something catastrophic happens. So if you see something and it's clean, it's just because I'm an adult and I am careful. Past that, it's also about watching where you step, but then again, that falls under being careful. So I don't go out of my way to keep anything clean. I just get out there and hope for the best. Very dope too. Okay, thanks. So, like I was saying, this piece down here, it feels a little stiffer, but like I to the touch, right? I can tell that it's basically the same material as the Zyon over here. It's just again, once I get these worn more, then they'll probably start to feel the same way. But otherwise, these have also the same sort of thing going on. It's just that over here, it looks like there's more happening. But if you really take a minute to look at it, you'll see that it's really all the same. It's just they have more colors. And this one, I don't know, just feels nicer, honestly. But different colors feel different ways. I've noticed that over the years too. So all in all, though, looking at the shoe itself, things are looking like I would expect them to, feeling like I would expect them to. So I've got no complaints about this. Like I said, the plastic piece on the side all feels the same. One other thing that I wanted to touch on real quick over here on this, I don't know if this is going to show up or not. Hopefully it does, but actually let me switch screens for just a moment because I need to see in real time how this is looking. Okay, yeah, you see that? Jesus. All right, you see that there? This is the normal tag that comes on a pair of 350s, right? You have this little RFID thing in there. So I don't know how much people are faking these or not or whatever, but it is an option to like check that and see. So it also says that somewhere up at the top, it says RFID. That's what that is. If you shine a light on there, and I don't know what all else they're doing that with, but I know it's something else. I just can't think of what it is. So it doesn't just say RFID. There actually is a little chip in this little tag or whatever. And then you have this little StockX thing on the side. So yay for that, right? Which says StockX verified. So all in all, personal opinion, right? Doing this real quick or whatever, I'm cool with these. Like to me, and the thing that I was trying to stress to other people in the beginning is like, if you buy something, right, and you're wondering if it's fake or whatever, do your research, find out however you want to proceed with verifying one way or the other. Just do what makes sense to you, right? You can go ask a million people or whatever. Some random stranger on the internet, who cares what they have to say, right? Do what makes sense to you. Like, watch as many videos as you can on the thing, go from there, and make your opinion. This is, yeah. So now, real quick, I'm going to pull out some other things that are close-ish colors. Semi-frozen, it's one of the most iconic colorways for sure. Yeah, it's one of the few that I've doubled up on, right? Which at the time when the semi-frozen yellow came out, that was not the easiest thing to do, right? But nowadays there are other ones. I don't know which other one. The ash blue. Yeah, the ash blue. I have two pairs of those, right? Because I really liked those. Just because of the way things played out, I did end up with more than one pair of the slates. I have one. I have more than one pair of the statics because I was curious how the new pair would stack up to the original pair. For anybody that's curious, very much the same. Obviously, like the tag on the inside has a different date, but the style code is still the same. The one difference between the new statics, the 2023s, and the 2018s, 17s, or 18, 2018s, the only difference I noticed was that the newer ones are just a little bit lighter. It's like when I do the video and I'm taking the pictures, you may not even be able to tell, honestly, but that's the one thing I noticed. Otherwise, everything was the same. So, moving along, doing the color comparisons and such real quick. So, I guess I haven't worn this one either. I have a lot of 350s, people, like I was saying, and honestly, some of them I just forget about. And I was pulling out ones that are green or greenish, and I was like, just to see. So this one I went off of memory, and it is not as close as I thought it might be. This is the Desert Sage, which is a similar construction to the linen. As you see, it's got like a 3M strip on the side, different colored piece up around the sock liner and all that good stuff, but still the same thing, all one color with just one piece to kind of pop out at the top, right? So I pulled these out because I was thinking, well, maybe since these are green, maybe it's a similar green. It is not. It is not at all similar, right? As you can see there, very different. Different enough that I am done with this and I'm just going to put it to the side. So there's that. Let's see, are there any other questions in there? I think I got everything, right? Yeah, cool. But keep your questions coming, people. If they're on topic, they're on topic. If they're not, that's fine too. This one I have worn. It's definitely got some like dirt down there on the back. What is this? Oh, looks like some like like when there's like cut grass or something. Looks kind of like that. Either way, these is not so far off. It's just, I have a lot of these 350s from what I'm seeing here. This is the Marsh. This is the Marsh 350, which I think came from StockX. I don't see the little thing in there, but oh yeah. So there you go. I'll block out all the stuff that you don't need to see, but yeah, this was a StockX purchase. So, and this is the one I did the whole thing on. Either way, so this right here is the Marsh. Again, this right here being the sulfur. A little bit closer, right? Still a difference. I mean, the farther you get from it, it looks a little closer. But at least to me, looking at them up close and all that good stuff, maybe that does a little better for you. You can kind of see they are pretty different. But the one thing that I appreciate about the 350s is that it's honestly the same thing a lot of people complain about. The whole thing about them making multiple releases in the same similar colorway, to me, that just means that like if you miss out on this, well, maybe you can go for this because it's like it's close. Is it the same? No, it's not the same, obviously. But if you were just looking for a green 350, this might do it for you. Same with like a lot of the other ones. So I was cool with the fact that they made several similar colors, even when they were doing ones that were, like this, where it's like basically the same things, not a different look at all, really. I mean, other color wise or whatever, sure. But I was cool with it. Some people weren't because they thought it was just kind of getting a little stale or whatever, which I understand both sides of it. But personally speaking, I was on board with it. Either way, so these right here, you have like this one that has, which is not the most common thing, but this one has like a midsole that is the same color as like the outsole for the most part. It's very close, as you can kind of see there. Whereas something like this, it's going to stand out a bit more, right? Some people have some feelings about that one way or the other, much like how some people have certain feelings about if there are heel tabs on the back. I'm indifferent to the whole thing. If I could choose, I would probably go this route because I like the least amount of stuff possible on my shoes. So having this heel tab thing on the back is largely unnecessary. If anything, it's just one more picture I need to take when I'm making my videos. So he says, or she says, someone says, did you bought these 350s recently or they were sitting in your closet? Which ones? Which ones are you asking about? because I've gone through a couple, and like since I see these things at a slight delay and you see this video at a slight delay, I just want to be sure that I'm answering things properly. You know what I'm saying? But all in all, this colorway, I do like the Marshes. I was able to get that one also for retail because, like I said before, even though I like 350s and I buy them often and talk about them and usually have good things to say, well, I sometimes I have good things to say. Some colorways are underwhelming once you get them in hand, but overall, as much as I like them, I generally feel like if you missed it at retail, don't worry too much about it. There will be another release at some other point. Get that one. Or just get any other one. Maybe you can just like trade for your size that you do want. What is this? This must be the flax, right? Because it's a, yeah. Okay, so for some reason I thought this was going to be green. I mean, there's green on it. So we'll talk about it since it's here. So the flax 350, ladies and gentlemen, which actually kind of reminds me of the natural in a way because it's got this little cake batter color, you know? That's how I envision this upper, you know, even when you look on the inside there, you see it's got like a little bit of like this, there we go. Got a little bit of this white and some sort of like beige sort of color in there. Hopefully that's coming out on the screen like it's coming out for me on my screen. But either way, so color wise, right? So you got some green here on this one, a fair amount. This one, it's kind of hard to tell in this, at least how it's looking on my screen or whatever. I have the laptop routed over to the TV right now, which is an old Panasonic Plasma, but this part looks a little greener than it does on TV, at least to me. And but then you have the heel tab, which is a pretty solid green, and that piece there seems to be a lot closer in color here, right? That's about the only similar thing going on there. I mean, they both have a slightly different colored midsole versus outsole sort of situation going on. But I don't know why I thought this was going to be green. It is definitely not. Definitely not. So we're just going to go ahead and put that away. Because the thing is, again, I was just going a lot of this from memory and just kind of quick scrolling through my Yeezy playlist because that's how I remember what I have. If you ever looked at the channel and really paid attention to it, you'll see a lot of playlists, right? Because I know some people like certain things and they just want to watch just that, which is fine, right? I don't care, do whatever, right? So I put all the playlists out there so that way if you want to watch an Air Max 97 playlist or you want to watch Ultra Boost playlist or you want to watch Yeezy things, right? It's there. You know, even I think the newest one might be the New Balance one because once I got enough pairs, I figured why not. What is this? What is this? I have no idea. This is the citrin. Okay. The citrin in my mind also, and it does have a greenish tint, but it's just not as profound, I guess you could say. So, but this was actually my first 350 that I bought from StockX. I had originally made an order through Adidas, and they like weeks later, I was like, "Hey, so are you guys going to ship this, or what's going on with that?" And then they just canceled the order. So I was like, "Oh, okay." Luckily, around that time, I guess people were kind of buying other stuff because that was the time when a lot of other releases were hanging around or coming around. So I did get this for retail too. But either way, so this one does have like a bit of a greenish tint to it, and from a distance, I guess you can kind of see it, but it's still like if you wanted something to switch it up, then this would probably be your better bet. If you're still going just straight green, this is your guy here. So all in all, though, these here marshes are definitely the closest that they have. So if you're looking for a pair of green 350s, there you go. And then the most similar award goes to these 450s over here, which I'm not a fan of the 450. It looks dumb and it feels weird and they're overpriced and the color selection isn't great. I don't know. And I had to go up half a size for it to feel decent on me, right? Which once I start going up half size and shoes start getting longer, then like I start to feel like they look like clown shoes on me. That's why I tend to stick with stuff that I can go true to size on. Either way, but as you see, even though this is billed as resin, and this is billed as sulfur. They look basically the same to me. Maybe to some of you guys out there and girls out there too. So there's that. So I think we've covered everything. And then this person's asking, are they, well, no, like, remember oh, you weren't here in the beginning. I was saying, like, this is a StockX purchase that just arrived today at 3:16. So if I don't know what time you got in here, right? But if you watch the beginning, there's a whole breakdown as far as like when I made the order and like when the order went through the little StockX process, and it's a whole thing, right? It's a whole thing. Not saying you have to watch it. You don't. Like, I mean, obviously, if you just ask the questions, I'll tell you what I covered. So, like, there's no reason to go back and rewatch this thing. I'm just saying, like, that was a thing that was covered, right? So don't take it the wrong way. Just putting the information out there. So there we go. There's that. Covered all this stuff. Got a whole bunch of 350s out now, and one pair of, what do you call it? Foam runners, which were also in resin. I mean, also in sulfur. Was anybody a fan of the foam runner? Like, seriously, like, did people? Because I feel like that was one where a lot of people were like just getting them to kind of to show off in some way or something, right? Because they look ridiculous. They do, right? At least that's my opinion. But I see people in them, and I mean, it seems like I don't live in like a beach area, but there's like one like right over there, right? So it seems like it'd be fine for that. Like if I was one to go there a lot, which I'm not, then sure, yeah, the foam runner would be a great choice. But whatever. So, anyways, let me know what other questions you guys have or whatever. Otherwise, I'm going to fly through some unboxings real quick of some very much unrelated things. So if you guys were just here for the shoes and stuff, that part is done. That ship has sailed. I mean, you can ask questions or whatever, sure, and I'll answer them. But for now, I'm just going to open some stuff up because I'm here and I don't see myself doing another live session for a bit because there's no reason. So people that showed up for the shoe thing, again, that's the end of that. So you can part ways now, go do whatever else with your time. I'm going to talk about some quick figures that talk about real quickly, some figures I picked up. Undertaker, right? I'm a big Undertaker fan. I'm a wrestling fan in general, so I picked this up as part of the Ruthless Aggression line, Walmart exclusive, if you will. So there's that. The look, personally, not a huge fan of that. Like, it just wasn't my favorite era of the Undertaker, and it honestly looks a lot like that basic I have back there with Kane. But I am an Undertaker guy, and I buy mostly all of his figures, at least the ones that I see and can get my hands on. My dad, he's a big Bobby Lashley fan, so this is more for him than it is for me. But I saw it when I was at Walmart the other day, so I figured, hey, man, let me go pick this thing up, get it for him. I'll give it to him at some point, I don't know when I'll be seeing them, but I'm guessing probably relatively soon. Because, actually, yeah, I'll be seeing them next week. So, will I give it to him then? No, probably not. I'm going to wait for him to come here because we're taking a trip next week, and I don't want to, like, travel with a bunch of figures, right? Like, I don't want to do that. I guess it's only one, but I still don't want to do it. So let's open this thing up here. See if I can get this thing to come out of this box. Some people like they make these figures sometimes like exactly the size of the box, which is cool, right? Like, so that way I know it's not going to be all jumbled around in here. But at the same time, that also means like when it's time to open it up, it may not be the easiest going thing. So just open from the back and push through to the front, maybe that'll help out. So on McFarlane Toys, right, they toss that over there. They've started doing a raffle system, right? Which honestly, as a shoe guy, I have some not so great feelings about raffles and whatever. But they did one for a platinum release or platinum version of this here classic Riddler style figure, right? And as a big fan of like the Riddler, because he just seems kind of cool to me, I was really hoping to get this one. And it was actually the first ever, for me, the first ever raffle that I won from the McFarlane people. So very cool. So I don't know what this thing's going for, but usually like the platinum ones do kind of carry some kind of value or whatever. But for me, the value is in the fact that I like the Riddler, so that thing will be staying here. I know some people like to buy stuff and resell it and whatever. I don't have that kind of time or energy, man. I'm an older guy now. I got like responsibilities or something. Well, not really, but I am an older guy that just doesn't care to get involved in a lot of other stuff nowadays. I go to work, come home, make some videos, go to the gym, do all that stuff. That's enough out of me. And I recently gave up some figures to a friend of mine at work, right? Because I felt like his desk was a little bare. So I put some wrestling figures on it. And now I've bought new ones to replace them. So the ones I gave him were this here Elite Series 100 John Cena. Fun fact for you, that art back there, where's the guy's name? Down here in this corner, right there, John Bartlett. He's actually the guy that made that poster and any other poster you see in the background of any of my other videos, right? So that's kind of cool. He also made that Galactus Roosevelt shirt. And then Jade Cargill, right? So picked her up too because, again, I gave him mine so that way he could have wrestling figures on his desk. And then he just kind of accepted it. I also gave him a Battle Cat and a Panther to put them on. So it's a nice display, right? I'd show you pictures, but, can't really have phones there for whatever reason. So I just have to take my word for it, people. All right, real quick here. This is, where's the side of the box I can show you? So when you order a case of AEW figures, like a wave, then they come like this. It says, oh, this is carton whatever of however many, right? So, and then they come all nice packaged in there, right? So it's very cool. And this one, Ringside Collectibles is where this comes from. They had lied to me because they were like, oh, it's on back order. We'll have to get it out in like a few weeks. I made this order like last week, and it arrived Monday. So yesterday, right? So first up, we have CM Punk, right? So I bought this set because I wanted it for one, and two, I thought like it might get like hard to come by or whatever because sometimes when people aren't working for the companies anymore, things kind of become scarce. So yeah, I figured I should go ahead and get this now instead of waiting on a price drop, which is inevitable. But again, my hands are a little bit tied. We have a Thunder Rosa here. This is going to be in black and yellow. Thunder Rosa is the one figure that I spent some serious, well, I won't say serious money for, but I definitely paid the premium for it to get the Chase version, which is somewhere over there under that Hangman Page sign figure. Normal retail of these is like $20, but that one was about $80 because it was like the limited color. But I figured, hey, it's my birthday, man. I got to splurge a little bit. Though, to be honest, I splurge like every day of the week, birthday or not. Let's see, do you keep them in box or make dioramas and pose them? If it wasn't such a hassle to do it, I'd turn around and show you other stuff that is out of the box. I can show you this, though, because I do open a lot of the things. If you're a fan of Off-White, like Virgil Abloh things, this is an Off-White Skeletor, right? I made that video some time ago. It's a weird thing, it really is, but it's kind of cool and in a way because it's unique, I guess. So I have Skeletor, Skelegod, He-Man, and Battle Cat all right there. Got a bunch of AW figures over there, some NECA Ninja Turtles 2 figures over there, bunch of wrestlers up there. Marvel Legends are down at the bottom. Basic WWE figures are over there. Yeah, so got some stuff. Got some some Super 7 glow-in-the-dark Ninja Turtles hanging out by the window. That way they get charged up during the day. Then you can see them glowing at night. So yeah, a lot of stuff does get opened. It's just kind of a matter of like, I need to get a new shelf right about there to start putting some more stuff on. Orange camos on the way. I just watched a review orange camos. Oh, the Air Max 1, right? Yeah, I got those for my brother. I do not like camouflage. Like, it is just god awful to me. But he's into that stuff because he's like an outdoors guy. He was doing a lot of fishing at the time. So I thought, oh, well, it's like hunting, right? Because it's like orange and whatever. He's super into the shoes. But I said Air Max 1, didn't I? But yes, they are Air Max 90s, obviously, as you know. Hook, if you remember Hook, he's Taz's son, right? So I think this is his first figure, if I'm not mistaken, or whatever. So Looks pretty cool in my opinion. There is another version. I think it's like the F2W version, but that hasn't come out just yet. It's just still up on pre-order. And here, oh, that is nice. Got this Ray Phoenix, right? The cool thing about these, like, and it's not gonna focus, but they go all in on like the detailing for like the masks and stuff on these guys. They got the belts down there. That's just the standard AEW ones, right? It's got this whole silver lineup going on. So, man, that is like a really nice looking figure. Some of them are like that, right? Look at, like even this Thunder Rosa, right? I didn't really show it up too close, or whatever, but yeah, there you go. So she's got like the two heads, got the face paint on half of her face and stuff, right? So her, like the Ruby Soho, like all of Malachi Black's figures, all look pretty crazy. I'm not into camo either. I'm just hyped. Oh well, hey, at least you're honest about it, right? But yeah, I think that overall, like that particular shoe you're talking about, it does appeal to a lot of people. Oh, I remember this when Pac got blinded by, I think it was by John Moxley. So he had the eye patch on, and then for a little while he had like the bandana over his face, and some of his little videos he was doing, like where he's backstage talking into the cameras and stuff. So this is a good one. I mean, it's mostly just because of, like the extra heads or whatever, but kind of like how they like switched it up with his hair and stuff too. So that's pretty all right. Give you a quick shot of the back for accuracy and whatever. So he was Neville in the WWE days, NXT days or whatever, but that was some time ago. And then we're ending things off with Penta L0, right? So once again with like the masks and stuff like I was saying, and like the tattoos on that side anyways. So very detailed. Like now this set did come in at like, was it 150 maybe? 150 to 170? I honestly don't really remember. But given that the figures are about somewhere between $20 and $25 each, and the thing is, if you order from Ringside Collectibles like early, like when something is kind of new, you do pay a slight premium for that because they're trying to like cut back on everybody buying it all at once, right? Because they only have so many in stock. But as the production starts to level out, then the prices on that website will drop down quite a bit in a lot of cases, and you can save some money, which is what I'm planning to do with unmatched, or excuse me, Unrivaled Series 12, I think it is. So I haven't made that order yet, but it's at 112 right now, just for those, right? So it's 6 figures for $112, pretty good deal in my opinion. And now switching gears for the last pickup here. I don't know if there are any comic book people out there, right? I'm one of them, getting back into it and all that stuff. So this right here, I've been reading the Ninja Turtles versus Street Fighter comics. So let's see, this is cover A. So this is like the main one that you'll see in like all your comic book shops and whatnot. You got Michelangelo and Chun-Li. Is Michael? It's from what happened in the previous issue. It actually no, it's Raphael because he was the one who got kidnapped, right? So yeah, it's Raphael and Chun-Li there. That's right, because then Michelangelo wanted to go after her because he's got a little thing for her. You don't have to spoil it, but I'm just saying he does. And then this is the same comic, right? It's just that they do several covers for these, right? So that's what's going on there. So the reason I buy both is honestly so if like when I do these reviews and stuff, I can talk about both of the comics or whatever, show people what the looks are like, and then I generally just give cover B to my coworker because we buy a lot of like action figure type things and stuff. So he actually has my Last Ronin book right now, so he's into that kind of stuff too. But just to kind of show you guys like what the things are looking like as far as the artwork on the inside goes, in case you're curious or whatever. And then turn away if you're considering this as a spoiler, I suppose. Either way, that's kind of what it looks like, standard stuff. Nothing too crazy about it. Give you another picture like a little earlier on, right? That's M. Bison in there doing whatever it is he's doing. A lot of stuff happened. Oh, there she is doing the kick. And yeah, so that's what the art is looking like, and they've all been pretty consistent. So if you like how that looks, then you'll like how the rest of them look. But it has been a pretty good story. I'm not going to go getting too deep into it right now because I kind of want to just wrap this up since I've been talking for almost an hour. And when I do these lives, I like to treat them like actual videos that I would do. So I just kind of keep the conversation moving, which is kind of weird in some ways, because it's a lot of talking, but it makes sense for me. So then when people are watching this on the replay, after I put all my timestamps in there, they can just watch it as if it's a normal thing. There's not a lot of weird dead space in there. But I did still keep it under an hour, which is good because I didn't know how long this whole going through all these Yeezys and stuff was going to take. But real quick recap for those who missed it, which should be nobody at this point. Picked up these right here from the old StockX. This is the Marsh 350. Excuse me, the Sulfur 350. The Marsh is this one right over here, right? So I picked these up, ran through some things just to kind of see what I thought of how things looked as far as if I should be concerned about them being real or fake. And after a bunch of not very scientific things, I'm settling down on these are perfectly fine, right? Obviously, I still have to put them on. That's part of the test, but I guess I'll just save that for the video now, won't I? That way I have a little bit of suspense and people can have a reason to watch it whenever I get around to having a reason to make it, which should hopefully be soon because I really want to get this backlog dealt with. I got I don't know, it's like 26-ish reviews, shoe reviews, strictly shoe reviews. I think I'm at like 26 that I need to finish. I've been working through them, people. It's a work in progress, but it'll be out there soon enough. And then the day will come and everyone will rejoice, or they will walk away because they're like, why is this dude flooding my feet with all these super old shoes that I don't care about? I'm leaning towards the latter because it happens all the time. I do this every several months, so it's a weird cycle. But that's going to be it for me. I'm going to start closing this out. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and leave those down in there. I say that now, so that way by the time those words hit you, you've had some time to say whatever you have to say. And that way, I can get on with closing this thing out. And then if I don't see anything, then we're good, right? So just got to lead with that. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Like I just said a moment ago, I'm still working on getting some actual shoe reviews out there. Those will be coming hopefully soon. I can't say how soon because there's still a good bit of work to be done. I mean, I still have to record about 10 of them, right? Maybe 12. Probably closer to 12 that I still have to actually record. But there's a good 15 or so that have already been recorded and mostly edited. Just need to edit the on feet part because I did all those clips on Sundays. Just need to drop them in wherever they go. But yeah, it's a whole thing. I'll tell you about it some other time. And so I'm not seeing anything in the comments, which is actually kind of cool because that means I can go ahead and part ways with you. And that means you guys can go ahead and part ways with me. So thanks for spending some time with me. I do appreciate it. There's a lot of other stuff to do out there in the world. And most of it is better than doing this. I'm going to be honest with you. So go ahead and go do some of that other stuff. We can cross paths some other time. Later, people. But thanks. Seriously, I do mean